Anyway, it's called South Central Walthamstow. The First World War memorials are murdered in orange Cyrillic graffiti. Shapku rules disjoint. It's like that bomb site near Tahiti. The streets all heave with human waste, defaced and armed banditti. It's a blindfold knife thrower sort of show down South Central Walthamstow. The only dreams are nightmares and romance is out the question. The only feeling in your guts, the stabs of indigestion. Or Stanley Knives, the pimp who sells the only kind of affection. Hemmed in children do not grow down South Central Walthamstow. Down chloroformy former glory alleyways of yore, conformy kids with hardened bars just shaft their craft and bore the life right out of everyone who knows what life is for. They burn copies of No Logo down South Central Walthamstow. Pearly kings were decapitated or abdicated instead. The double barrels rolled out and the chirpy sparrows fled, and dicks not spotted anywhere except on people's heads. Are there any rebels? No, not down South Central Walthamstow. With Cockney character kicked carefully in the lower spine, the atmosphere's convenient, the situation fine for phoned and pinstriped creatures sipping young professional wine to toast the ghostly post-mortem show that is South Central Walthamstow. Bruschetta-brained bastards barge in every bloody day, even though there's a distinct lack of cafe society. And now it roughly costs the whole Canadian Army's pay for a shack on a shark-infested row down South Central Walthamstow. The only ideology you'll find here is brutality. Lust for cash, the solitary source of joviality. The animals go grazing on because of your mentality, you dumb, overpaid scum who go and buy South Central Walthamstow. Thank you. I'd like to raise the level of the discussion now and talk about my cock, because I was circumcised when I was 20 years old, which was a lot of fun for me. And I don't know if anyone's aware of this, but I actually have a little name for my bell end. I call my knob Moses because he turns cider into piss, but also because it makes for a fine pun on the word phimosis, which is a medical term for the contraction and tightening of the foreskin, which is a comedy condition to have. Anyway, this is a poem about my circumcision. Here hangs a tale about my knob, let none of you dismiss. I call him Moses, for he turns good cider into piss. A year ago today, young Moses popped out from beneath the fleshy canopy that had for 21 winters stopped his vista of the world's fine panoply. Fie, Moses, while he laid enclosed and trapped, stagnated and began to gather dust. In other substances became he wrapped, which looked like brie or parmesan. I must explain. If I be far too blunt and send my audience a writhing, why then, I apologize for all my circumscribing. At first, young Moses, of his headwear stripped, did cause me much discomfort and much pain. For full 3 weeks, when off the cap was ripped, my stride resembled that of one John Wayne. And as I hobbled lamely, as I stepped, young Moses was encased in cotton wool, for delicate was he. I never slept, for he would always wake me with a pull. Violently he'd arise and jerk me forward. 'Twas like Hades at 7 in the morning, while I'd dreamed of comely ladies. Mine older Moses now hath me recouped. Less sensitive, less filthy is he now. The time hath passed when, due to him, I stooped. Today he comes of age and gives a bow. Today ripe Moses by the world be swiped. Today he's free to choose to go his way. And yet today he stayed at home and wiped the bathroom white with some surfactant spray. Methinks fine Moses, far too shy to rise to great renown, he plans to buy a bagel bakery in Barnet Town. Thank you. Anyway, this is a poem about the country into which, unfortunately, I was born. It's called Free England. There once was a time when we mucked out the swine, for we stuck and combined when we could. We sucked on our limes and we struck up our rhymes to the crimes of Fawkes, Turpin and Hood. But now we're pushed round on a merry-go-round of American merits and law. Free England, come get your free England with every world war. This bruising, this tumour, is losing our humour to beautiful chick bedding friends with coffee-filled bladders, while pythons and adders are strangled by skin-shedding trends. Our statements are questions. This hateful ingestion was smuggled in through Channel 4 and clangs round free England while slangs intermingle and our speech patterns parrot and bore. No longer, you see, will we ponder how tea drives a man to unpadlock his hose, then wander like cloud, growing fonder and proud past the daffodil, shamrock and rose. Instead we all scavenge for crap and say, haven't you heard the new word? I can score. Free England, come get your free England with every world war. The aquiline vultures all hack at our culture, a carcass that's fetid and smashed. Decide it's too quaint, then deride it and paint it the colours detested and trashed by mullahs and commies, but not by dumb homies who swagger round Uncle Sam's whore, that strumpet Free England who trumpets her jingle and lies straddled and bound on the floor. How splendid! How bold! We're defending their golden behind. We risk winding up dead as we cast icy faces at ghastlier races whose primary colour is red. When told to fellate, we say thanks, you're so great. Would you like us to suck a bit more? Free England, come get your free England with every world war. So, happily evermore after we sever our past in the supermarket place. Free Wales! And free Scotland! Don't let England throttle and submerge you in brown-tongued disgrace! Thank you. So you can type in something like, fuck off and die of cancer, you cunt, I'll shit on your grave, and it will come back as, would you like a toasted tea cake? So, what I did was, I took the lyrics of God Save the Queen by the Sex Pistols, punk classic from 1977, and I inserted these lyrics into one of these liberalisers. And it came back with this. God save the Queen! Constitutional monarchy is in many respects similar to a fascist regime, but only in metaphorical respects, as it would be wrong and quite flippant to trivialise the experiences of those who have suffered under regimes whereby fascism does actually, literally operate by attaching the label of said example of statecraft to the relatively free environment of parliamentary democratic British society, which, incidentally, is responsible for your educational shortcomings, making you, therefore, not a moron per se. God save the Queen! She isn't, in a symbolic sense, you understand, a human being! And this statement, like the aforementioned metaphor, is not intended literally, and therefore it is evident that we do not express dissatisfaction towards the Queen as a free and rational person, but towards the constitutional monarchy, and from that, the parliamentary democracy of which she is a symbolic figurehead. And in that respect, there is no future in England's dreaming! Which is not necessarily to suggest that the citizens of the United Kingdom are naturally disposed towards a lack of clarity of vision, but rather that the establishment has encouraged within the population at large a certain set of slightly outdated ideals. Anarchy! Destroy! Thank you, good night.